explain to us when you talk about qi, because a lot of our listeners won't know what you're talking about. And I particularly am not super aware of. I know the term, but in layman's terms, like when you talk about qi in relation to your body and like making sure it's in the right, it's in the right levels and so on and so forth. Talk to me about that quickly. Just can you dive into that?
Yeah, and I'll also talk about the fact that, I'm not talking about specifically like traditional Chinese medicine that you see in our everyday life. That's very clinical, and it's also been highly westernized in its approach.
Okay.
What I'm talking about here it's just that, it's an invisible life force. It's just the spark in the machine. So in Taoism, there's three treasures. We've got our Jing, which is associated a lot with our genetics. That's what I was talking about, not aging rapidly.
Yeah.
Right? That's all we're associating there is our Jing energy, our ability to genetically express ourselves, to reproduce cells. This is our Jing. It's the wax of the candle. So if you think of your body, you've got the wax of your candle. That's your Jing. So your sexual potency, your ability to your ability to execute what you need to do in life without getting exhausted.
So like vibrancy, kind of.
Well, yeah. All of these vibrancy you're going to see really come through in that qi, because vibrance, like Jing, is just literally your foundational energy that allows you to move through life, without make sure that your bone structure stays rocking, to make your knees, your lower back, and all these basic elements. And the Jing is also governs your brain, which the Taoists didn't actually see as an organ; they just saw as a big sea of marrow. They called it, right?
Gotcha.
And so if you're exhausted, you're actually going to start depleting your that sea of marrow. But that's our foundation. So that what you see happening in the West is you see obviously people burning it at both ends. You see an excessive reliance on stimulants. You see excess in the direction.
Put my hand up.
Absolutely. And this is what I'm not like. I'm definitely not. It's like I am not a purist in any way, because there's just so much fun to be had in life. But, when we've got all these decades to work in, like striking a really sweet balance and making sure that we're not going to be in that state where we're like, we're bashing ourselves internally, going like, when you start knowing about these things, about your Jing and your foundations, and you realize, holy shit, I better like alter my lifestyle now, because you can start to feel that as you get towards your edges of exhaustion, you're running off like a coal energy where you're chipping off your Jing, the wax, and throwing that in the furnace in order to get through the day. Smash a couple of extra coffees. I'm not saying that this is a good or bad thing in any way. And I'm not saying that there's this exact formula in order to get to like 80, 90 or 100, even if we get there, where you're going to be super healthy. But you at least stacking the odds in your favor.
Yeah.
And at least understanding yourself, you start playing into the long game. But, whether it's like excessive sex or excessive no sex, or whatever it is, there's like that excess is striking that balance and making sure that we actually put our foot down in the design of our lifestyle. That like I love, I own a business. I got a 3-year-old. I know what it's like to hustle, but there's every year or two there's this massive crossroads where you got to look down the barrel of what you're doing to your physicality and your Jing and your genetic potential and your sexual potency, therefore your sex hormones, therefore your ability to have a foundation, basically an entire foundation for your nervous system to be able to ease back and forth between sympathetic and parasympathetic. That Jing essence, it lives in the kidneys, right? They're the seed. That's like a battery pack. It's the seed for your potential, right? And so that is the foundation for digestive fire, for immunological capacity, and all these things. You can see some people have rockin' constitutions. We say they kind of win the lottery. They got born with a lot of Jing. Right? And some people just have weaker constitutions. They can't back up the next day and go on another bender,
Yep.
Keith Richards has a lot of Jing.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. So, that's interesting, because I feel like a lot of that stuff you mentioned earlier with South America when you were sick, I feel like I lost my Jing in South America. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. This is one of the questions that at some point I hope we get to, or we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
But so I remember you saying you were really sick and it made you kind of contemplate, okay, cool, what am I doing with my life here and so forth. Like I had a situation where I was sick in South America as well, 10 years ago, believe it or not,
Yeah, right.
in Bolivia.
That's where I was when I had my moment.
Oh, yeah, really?
yeah.
In Bolivia?
Yeah.
Oh, classic. In La Paz?
No, well, it was probably post La Paz.
Yeah, mine was mid La Paz.
What am I doing?
Fuck, I hate La Paz. It's a great city, but I hate it. But anyway, so I did a bunch of work with an ex-partner of mine. She's from Byron, actually, and on gut health. And she said that my gut health had been just decimated from these bugs that I'd had in South America. And she knew, like, I'd been really, really sick. I was sick for like 4 to 6 weeks. I went from 82 kilograms when I started the trip to 76 mid-trip, 74, sorry, to 66 kilograms.
It happens so often, people going through, especially going through Bolivia.
And it thrashed me. Yeah. It thrashed me. So, and since then, my gut's never really recovered. So I reckon my jing has been smashed from that.
Your jing definitely would have been smashed, and probably your immune system then a little bit compromised.
Yeah.
And just quickly going back to your chi question. So the next treasure, jing is the wax of the candle, and then in, say, our human physiology. So chi can be seen as just like everything is energy, everything is chi. I'm talking about more of a localized form of chi. So one of the 3 treasures in Taoism, we were talking about those 3 intentions: graceful aging, to bring lightness to the body, and the other one is just to crack the spirit through, which is basically just means become a bit of a better person as you go along and learn rather than regress or even stagnate in your personal development. So chi is it's the animating force of life. It's basically it. And, you can kind of reduce it to an intelligent, organized electromagnetic force as well. But it's as a treasure in Taoist tonic herbalism and Taoism in general, it's the second thing that we like. We want to be accumulating jing or protecting our jing as much as possible. And then when we move on to the circulation of qi, it's just basically keeping the energy moving. And then as you go along, the intention to cultivate qi, which is essentially function within the organs. And so with that, with qi, you see an association with emotional health. And so we start seeing that, if you aren't staying, if your lifestyle isn't allowing you time, say physically, emotionally, in your relationships to really stay balanced and stay harmonious, you're going to see a blockage of qi within the organs. And so you're in this song and dance within your own life. What the idea of taking tonic herbs, especially herbs that are qi tonics, the ability for them to help your body and organ system regulate your qi, extract more qi from the food that you're eating and the air that you're breathing, so that then it can go forth and permeate your cells, circulate through your subcutaneous tissue to protect you from pathogenic forces, and basically making sure that you're flowing through the organs so that you don't get these blockages and become more and more of an arsehole. That's like a lot of, the idea is to hit this sweet spot. And then you just, what do you do with that sweet spot? You just surf the wave of your sweet spot and continue to develop over time.
Yeah, which is great, and which is what everyone should really aim to be, in that flow state and just happy and feeling well and positive in all things around them.